Programming on American Abilities Television Network is sponsored in part by Rochester School for the Deaf. With Regents-level educational programs, outreach services, and cultural support, RSD endeavors to build successful futures for deaf and hard-of-hearing children and their families in Western and Central New York. Rochester School for the Deaf, where families expect more and find it.
Hello and welcome to Talking and Signing. I'm Richard McCullough. This is a program that goes on location to find out more about people, places, and activities in the deaf and hard of hearing community. On our program today, we feature the RIT-NTID Art by Deaf Artists Auction, held at the Dyer Arts Center on campus. We had a chance to catch up with some of the artists. We find out more about them, their artwork, and inspirations. Well, Rita, thank you so much for joining us on Talking and Signing. I'd like to know more about your artwork. Tell us about some of your artwork that you have here tonight.
Sure. I've got 3 pieces in the auction tonight. One is a sewn piece, a textile piece. It's called Rising Sun. It uses a foundation piecing. It's a fabric. We call it foundation piecing. It's a technique of a kind of sewing of material in the background with art on top of it. You sew that on, you sew a tracing onto the material, and then you remove the tracing. My first try with that was some time ago, and I've tried different techniques in my career so far, and I really found that one to be enjoyable. The other 2 pieces, the next piece I have is Her Gift, and it's a photograph. It's a woman, and it's in pinkish tones and rose colors. I just love the color and the saturation of the tones. I had to buy this, bring it home, and I had to use special lighting at home, some natural light. It had to work. The technique was working with my camera and the focal lens and all of that. The third is In the Pink, it's called. There are 2 different flowers in it. One is a rose and a Germa daisy. It's a kind of daisy, a special kind of daisy. Put them together in the photograph. And it's the same kind of thing as with Her Gift. I bought them, placed them in a setting, and then used natural light to photograph them. I love working with natural light. I think it's beautiful, and it really adds to the photography.
I noticed also that you use a lot of color. You like to use color and natural lighting and so forth. What inspires you to use colors and the natural lighting as opposed to artificial lighting?
Oh, well, Mother Nature is just a gift to us all, and I think the colors that are in nature just can't be duplicated. I think what inspires me most is the textural quality of things, the textures in the colors from nature. Nature itself is so full of texture. It really lends to my work. I mean, I tend to work very close to my subject matter. Having things around the frame and having a lot of being away from the subject matter really is not the way I work. I really tend to be up close and personal with my subject matter.
Talk about how long it takes you to work on a project. What inspires you to work on a project, and what do you, talk about some of the materials that you might use on one particular project.
Sure. First of all, let me talk about my photography. I really have to be drawn to the topic, and most of the time it's flowers. I love flowers. I love to photograph them. I think they're beautiful. They're textured, they're colored. I just love them. I like to buy them at stores and bring them home. My garden outside, I do a lot of photography of the things that I grow as well. The quilting is more of, it depends on my mood, I think. They're functional also. You can hang them on walls, you can use them as blankets. I'm still fairly new at this quilting technique. I've only done, maybe 5 or so projects. I've made 2 blankets and 3 small gifts, quilted gifts for friends. The 4th thing is, again, a quilt for a bed cover. There's another technique that I am using that I just spoke about with this work that's here on display. I really wanted to get into the technique, and I really wanted to discover the technique. And I like to do things on my own. I like to really create on my own. I don't like to follow anybody else's style. So really that's my goal.
This is Talking and Signing on the American Abilities Television Network. When we come back, we will continue our conversations with deaf artists. We'll be right back. AATV is the only national network that features open captioning all the time. AATV, American Abilities Television Network, programming for the deaf and hard of hearing. Welcome back to Talking and Signing. I'm Richard McCullough. Now we continue our conversation with deaf artists at the art auction held at RIT. Tell me, are you inspired by any particular artists, or do you get inspirations from things like that, or where do you get your ideas from? Tell us about that.
Yeah, really, people are just their work is so wonderful. Diane Arbus, photographer, I just love her work. I really enjoy people who are outdoor photographers, nature photographers. They do all different kinds of things. You know, oddities I like too in photography. Children, obese people, things that are different shapes and sizes. I like my work to be, I just think Diana Arbus is just so brave. I just think she's just a tremendously brave photographer. She really takes it to the edge. Another person that I think is wonderful is Robert Mapplethorpe. He's just, again, he's a brave artist. His photography is just so right for him, and that really comes through in the work itself. I just admire both of them so very much. I can't even compare myself to them in any aspect, but I just really admire both of their work.
Next week, we will continue part 2 of our coverage of the Deaf Art Auction held on the campus of RIT. We will meet more artists, see more artwork, and talk to some of the organizers of this event. All the next time on Talking and Signing.
For more information, go to our website at www.nearestmedia.net.
I'm Richard McCullough. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Programming on American Abilities Television Network is sponsored in part by Rochester School for the Deaf. With Regents-level educational programs, outreach services, and cultural support, RSD endeavors to build successful futures for deaf and hard-of-hearing children and their families in Western and Central New York. Rochester School for the Deaf, where families expect more and find it.